Hey guys, welcome to another episode in our video series, Writers MD, where we answer the top questions asked and the top questions that should be asked by doctoral students who want to write quality dissertations in 6 months or less. In this video, we are going to explore the 10 ways to stay motivated during your dissertation. More specifically, motivation and mindsets and how they impact us and our achievements in life. Simply put, a mindset is defined as the established set of attitudes held by someone, whereas motivation is defined as the reasons for acting or behaving in a certain way. If we consider the relationship between motivation and mindset, we then start to recognize how the attitudes we hold also affect the choices we make. During the process of your dissertation, you are going to come up against many challenging tasks, and you are going to hit roadblocks and difficulties, and you are going to receive feedback about improvements that need to be made throughout your dissertation process, whether it be from your supervisor or your committee members. If you enter the dissertation process with a fixed mindset, it is ultimately going to be very difficult for you to accept the need for improvements to be made on your dissertation project. As you understand the differences between growth and fixed mindsets, you probably already know if you are someone with more of a fixed or growth mindset. If you identify yourself as someone having a fixed mindset, or that you have tendencies of a fixed mindset, then it's going to be very important that you address this immediately before you move forward in your dissertation process, or it's going to cause you some real problems along the way. Why is this? Well, people with a fixed mindset tend to avoid tasks or challenges that they worry they might fail at. So if there's an element of your dissertation project that you, as someone with a fixed mindset, thinks is difficult, you might try to skip out on that part or complete it very quickly. The problem is that the requirements of a dissertation are set, and that depth and focus are required for all parts of a dissertation. So if this part is skipped over to begin with, it will need additional review or effort put in on later. So it really isn't going to be possible for you to avoid it. On the other hand, those with a fixed mindset also tend to choose easier tasks that they know they will do well in. This might result in a student choosing to focus on very safe areas of research, perhaps an area of research that is already saturated but seems quote unquote easier. By avoiding choosing an area in which there is a gap in the research or that less research has been completed on, you may feel more secure, but you will actually be preventing yourself from research that is truly innovative and from making a true contribution to the field of study. In addition, a student who is choosing a topic area that is deemed as too easy is likely going to have their initial proposal rejected by their dissertation committee, as they believe they cannot improve. People with fixed mindsets can become disheartened and feel helpless when facing such negative feedback. It can also result in low self-esteem, the view that there is no point in trying again, and ultimately low motivation for the dissertation project itself. People, on the other hand, with a growth mindset would approach these stages very differently. As these individuals recognize that actual improvement comes from practice, being given the opportunity to receive feedback from experts with guidance on how to improve a proposal would be welcome from them. Those with a growth mindset would view it as an opportunity for them to take control and get better at something. They would see the need for them to put in more hard work to improve, and it would ultimately make them more focused to succeed in getting their proposal accepted the second time around or the third time. The difference here is that the person with the growth mindset is not letting an instance of failure define him or her. Instead, the person will use this opportunity to become even more motivated about their dissertation. People with a fixed mindset, on the other hand, might label themselves as a failure when receiving a request for revisions. People with a growth mindset would avoid labeling themselves at all. Instead, they would detach themselves from the work. Instead, looking at what work it is that they need to put in to make it work for them and to make it a success the next time around. After that focus and hard work, people with a growth mindset relish in their achievement when something goes well for them. Due to this, it is clear to understand how research has discovered that a growth mindset makes students more motivated, more engaged, and higher likely to achieve great grades. If you want to learn more about this, be sure to check out our dissertation coaching program. But for now, here are the top 10 ways to stay motivated during your dissertation. Number 1, acknowledge your imperfections and embrace them. For instance, if you know that you are terrible at statistical data analysis, accept this, laugh at it with yourself and with your dissertation committee, and then start looking at someone with a particular strength in that area to put on your dissertation committee. Number 2, think of challenges that you face as opportunities for success. You must recognize that life itself is by no means easy, and that most great things we do in life aren't easy either. Yet we should seek out the challenges in life that give us the most satisfaction. Think about the number of people who attempt to climb Mount Everest, for example. That is the most challenging mountain climb in the world. Yet hundreds of people every year choose to challenge themselves to complete this feat in order to taste success. Your dissertation project should be approached in the same way. If you find a gap in research that seems like a difficult research area, but that would mean you'd make a significant contribution to your field of study, take the challenge by the reins and work as hard as you truly can to succeed and make your mark within your industry and your field of focus. Number 3, talk to yourself differently. I mentioned before in my example of people with fixed mindsets calling themselves failures when receiving points for improvement. If you constantly call yourself a failure whenever you are asked to change something or try something again during your dissertation process, then you, of course, are going to start believing it. And then you're going to start avoiding the things you think you will fail at. If you change how you talk to yourself, you will change how you think about yourself. The next time you receive feedback with edits or pointers for improvement or a request for a revision, say instead, "What a great opportunity that I have for learning." Number 4, stop looking for constant approval. If you find yourself constantly checking in with your dissertation chair or your committee, you're probably operating with a fixed mindset. To work towards more of a growth mindset, trust in your own judgment more. Think about what you're doing, and if you can, find a good reason to justify why you're doing it. And ultimately, that's good enough. Try to only check in on the parts that are truly causing you a lot of difficulty. Number 5, see process, not product. Unfortunately, throughout our education, we've been trained to always focus on the end product. We, after all, never or rarely graded on the process of our work. When we have to write an essay, we are graded on that essay that we submit, not the long process of researching and writing that we engaged in before we turned it in. When we sit in on an exam, it is not identifying how hard we've worked over the last 5 years, but how well we performed in that 1 hour. You have probably been trained to always focus on the product, but this is only going to lead you to having a fixed mindset in which you see learning as a pass or fail. Therefore, our approach to the dissertation process should be with a growth mindset, and we should try to enjoy the process as we go through it. Try not to think too much about the end part of the process, but instead focus our energy and efforts on the process of the work as we go through it. Number 6, use timelines to create purpose. In previous research, it was identified that there is a need for people to be kept purposeful in order to maintain high levels of motivation and a growth mindset approach. If you have followed any of the advice I've given in the past on setting goals throughout the dissertation process, you are going to be able to maintain a high level of focus and purpose, so you will know exactly what you need to complete and by when, and you will be able to celebrate the small successes along the way, which will keep your motivation super high. Number 7, understand what a genius really is. In life, the word genius is oftentimes thrown around in a very misleading way. Oftentimes, we think about geniuses as individuals such as Stephen Hawking and Einstein. We picture these people who were so unbelievably and naturally clever, but that's not the case at all. In fact, these are examples of two men who devoted their entire lives to academia and learning. They spent hours and hours reading and experimenting to make the discoveries that they did. The truth is this: genius comes from hard work only. Number 8, understand that mistakes equal learning. Another very large misconception we have is that being asked to improve something means that we did a bad job or that we failed at it. In fact, we should see this as the complete opposite. Not being given steps to improve means we did a bad job, because it means that we did something that was too easy for us. If I teach a group of 5-year-olds about addition and then give them 10 sums to complete, and they complete them all correctly, I have done a terrible job as a teacher. If the students can answer them all, it means that the time spent answering those 10 questions was a complete waste of time for them. They have learned nothing. Instead, giving the students 10 sums and having them answer only 5 correctly means that I can give them some advice, clear up their misconceptions, and have them complete the other 5 correctly too. We have to realize that identifying improvements is fundamental for learning to happen. Otherwise, we only stay the same. Number 9, develop grit. In all walks of life, one of the main character traits of success is grit. Being able to accept that bad things will happen in life and have the strength to move on from those things is what separates strong people who will succeed in life from people who will not. We need to be able to accept that life is not perfect and that we are not perfect either. And we need to remain focused on where we want to go and also what we want to achieve. Number 10, use the power of yet. The best technique for developing your own growth mindset is to start using the word yet more. It identifies that there is potential for change and growth and is fundamental to developing a growth mindset. For example, if your proposal statement was rejected by your committee, instead of saying my proposal was rejected, you would instead say my proposal hasn't been accepted yet. Phrasing things in this way will ultimately help you stay motivated and focused on what it is that you are going to achieve. Changing to a growth mindset is not going to happen overnight. But if you take the right approach to working towards a growth mindset, you will recognize that every small change you make will be helping you towards your ultimate goal of shifting your mindset. It's not that you don't have a growth mindset, it's that you don't have a growth mindset yet. That's the key. If you enjoyed this information and would like to receive 20 free videos of the answers to the top problems that doctoral students usually face while writing a dissertation, along with a free copy of the webinar where I have given important tips and strategies that could help you write your dissertation in as little as 6 months, please visit www.writerser.com/free, and I also have provided that in the description below.